You know what's wild? We treat fear like it's broken, like it's some bug in the human operating system that you're supposed to debug with therapy and meditation apps. But fear isn't broken. Every single fear you have was once the reason somebody in your family tree stayed alive. Every irrational fear you hate is only irrational by modern standards. By ancient ones, it's a superpower. So today, we're gonna look at every fear you've ever felt ashamed of and figure out what it was actually trying to do. Spiders. For most of human history, anything tiny that moved fast could absolutely ruin your week. So your brain made a rule, a simple one. If something small moves wrong, panic first, identify later. Logic wants to inspect the spider calmly, maybe take a nice photo for Instagram. Fear has already moved you 3 meters away and somehow blamed the furniture. Dramatic? Sure. Embarrassing in front of your girlfriend? Absolutely. But it's older than language, older than civilization, older than the concept of, babe, calm down, it's just a house spider. And spiders aren't the only thing your brain was trained to fear. Fear of the dark. It actually has a job. It makes you careful when your eyes basically stop working. Walking blindly into the dark in ancient times wasn't a moody aesthetic moment. It was an excellent way to become somebody's dinner. When the lights go out, your hearing sharpens, your pupils dilate, your heart rate climbs without you even noticing. Your whole body shifts into a state psychologists actually have a name for. They call it vigilant arousal. That's not anxiety. That's an ancient algorithm running flawlessly. It just doesn't know you live in a studio apartment in Brooklyn, and the noise is your radiator. Speaking of moments your body refuses to trust your judgment, you ever look down from a tall building? Your stomach drops. Your hands grip whatever's nearby like it owes you money. And somewhere in your skull, a voice is screaming, "Why are we this high? Who approved this? What is the plan?" That's acrophobia, fear of heights. And it's protecting you from one of the oldest problems humans ever had, falling. There's this experiment from 1960 called the visual cliff. Psychologists put babies on a glass floor that looked like it dropped into open air. Babies who had never fallen in their lives. They refused to crawl across. Every single one. The fear of heights isn't learned. It isn't taught. It's born into you. And gravity is undefeated. So your fear forces you to respect distance, balance, and the planet that's been trying to pull humans into itself for several million years. But not every fear waits politely for danger to arrive. Some fears show up before your conscious mind even gets to vote. Loud noises. One of the fastest neural pathways in your entire body. The signal travels from your ears to your amygdala in about 15 milliseconds. For comparison, it takes your conscious brain around 200 milliseconds to even know what happened. Your body has already reacted before you know there's anything to react to. You're basically a passenger. This is the same system that makes you duck when something explodes nearby. Your ancestors who startled fast got out of the way of falling rocks. Your ancestors who didn't aren't your ancestors. And when running was the only option, fear had another trick ready, the fight or flight response. When your brain decides to bail, your heart rate climbs. Adrenaline floods your system. Your peripheral vision narrows. Your muscles get extra oxygen. Pain perception drops to almost nothing. You are no longer a calm person with dreams and student loans. You are a survival machine that just remembered what it was originally built for. If real danger shows up, running is honestly one of the most underrated skills humans ever developed. You don't always need a heroic battle. Sometimes the smartest move is just, nope, not today. But the most powerful fear isn't physical at all. It comes from other people. Public speaking. Surveys consistently rank it as more terrifying than death itself, which makes no biological sense. Unless you remember what humans actually are. We're social animals. For most of our history, being accepted by the group wasn't a preference. It was survival. If your tribe rejected you, you didn't go find a different tribe. You died. Probably eaten. So your brain treats standing in front of a crowd of strangers like a public trial that might end with you getting banished into the wilderness. They're the same chemicals your ancestors produced when they had to defend themselves in front of the elders of the tribe. The stakes were higher back then. And the same logic applies to a fear that might be the most useful one on this entire list: fear of failure. Without fear of failure, humans would attempt everything with terrifying overconfidence. You'd build a bridge after watching one YouTube tutorial. Psychologists actually have a term for using fear of failure productively. They call it defensive pessimism. Basically, imagining what could go wrong so you can prevent it. And here's the part that breaks people. Studies show defensive pessimists often outperform optimists in high-stakes situations. The version of you who's afraid of failing is the same version that gets things right. But not all fears come with clear solutions. Some fears exist precisely because there isn't one. Fear of the unknown. This is the big one. A new disease, a dark ocean, a coworker walking up to you saying, "Hey, can we talk for a second?" The unknown is terrifying because your brain can't calculate the risk. This isn't a flaw. This is your brain doing risk assessment with incomplete data. Same way your ancestors approached an unfamiliar forest. Fear of the unknown is what made humans cautious enough to survive. Problem is, modern life is full of unknowns that aren't actually dangerous. A weird email, an unanswered text, a doctor's voicemail saying, "Please give us a call back." And underneath all these fears, there's one feeling so fundamental that fear itself was basically built around it: pain. Pain is not fun. That's kind of the entire point. There's a rare genetic condition called congenital insensitivity to pain. People who have it can't feel physical pain at all. Sounds like a superpower, right? It's not. Most of them die young. They bite through their own tongues without noticing. They develop infections from injuries they never registered. They walk on broken bones. Pain isn't your enemy. Pain is information. Something is wrong. Do something about it before it's too late. So pain is horrible, but it's also one of the most important things keeping you alive. Which brings us to the final boss. The fear underneath every other fear on this list: death. Death is the foundation. Every other fear is just a smaller version of this one. But here's the part most people miss about the fear of death. It isn't just a warning, it's a clock. The awareness that time is finite is the entire reason humans build anything. It's why we make medicine, why we build shelter, why we tell children stories about people who lived before them. Psychologists call this mortality salience, the way the awareness of death sharpens what you value. And here's what's weird. Studies show that people who are reminded of their own mortality become more generous, more present, more focused on the people they actually love. Fear of death is what makes life feel like something. So next time fear shows up uninvited, try asking it a different question. Not, "How do I make this stop?" but, "What were you trying to protect back when you actually made sense?" Because every fear in your body is a message. So when your brain panics at the laundry in the corner that looks vaguely like a person, say thank you. It's just an old friend, doing its best to keep you alive in a world that no longer needs it to.